I'm Donna Polk.
I'm Jonathan Stokes.
And this is Now We Know,
the monthly Black culture podcast where we uncover and dive deeper
to broaden our understanding of what we needed to learn.
We didn't before, but now we know. I really wish that I knew how to start this in an audible way, because my first instinct is to just do a crazy move and then put my hand out to you and then egg you on to dance back at me. I feel like that's how this is supposed to go, but we're not in the same city. So
I know.
Hi, Donna. We're doing it the normal way. No dance battle.
It needs to be a dance battle. I feel like it should be. One of these days we are actually going to yes, we're going to crump it out. We're going to twerk it out. We're going to do all the things.
When I'm sure that this was like a tweet or something like that, but somebody said that it felt like when we were young, it felt like going to the club would include a lot more dance battles. And I can't help but to agree. I 100%. Was actually preparing for that, especially leading up to high school. I used to think that, okay, dances are where you play club. And so that means that we are going to dance battle down. You know what I mean? And 100%. Everybody will have a move, and then somehow we'll all be in unison. It'll be amazing. Never happened, not once.
I mean, did you ever try and start it though?
Unfortunately, probably yes. I think okay, so you are a recreational dancer. You like to go to learn the dance and then perform the dance. You'll even do it with strangers, such and such, so on and so forth. I used to love to dance a lot more than I do now, but going to a white school, it was quickly made apparent that the way that we're going to do dancing is that Jonathan's going to go get in the groove and then suddenly look up to notice that people are standing in a circle.
Oh, yeah.
And it's happened a lot. I've depending on the wedding audience, I'm I guess I'm not dancing tonight. Not that I don't like to dance, it's just that I don't like to be made a spectacle, and in these certain environments that happens. So I don't know. I wish I had a better way out of that, but that's just the truth. I used to dance a lot and now I don't dance as much because it's there's so much pressure.
That's so sad. Yeah. No, of course, weird. I love to dance. I mean, if anybody knows me, especially at this point, it's certainly Latin dancing. I love me some salsa, some bachata, merengue, cumbia, all of it. That is right up my alley. And yeah, I think even just getting to watch these documentaries and giving everybody a throwback to 2004 with You Got Served. Oh, it was so good, though. The music was the best. The acting was questionable at best.
I have more to talk about with You Got Served, but before we do that, do you want to talk PBS? Do you want to start with You Got Served? What are you feeling? What are you thinking?
I mean, we do a lot of historical context, but I think this is one of those episodes where we do a compilation, if you will, of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's do that then. So let's talk about Save the Last Dance, directed by Christopher B. Stokes. No relation whatsoever at all. My God. Never. Had you seen the movie before?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, are you kidding?
Okay.
I thought that was going to be my life. I thought I, too, would go, well, maybe not to Juilliard, but I thought that I was going to have this just beautiful love story. And, the guy teaches me how to dance, moves that I wasn't used to. And then we fall in love and crump in the club and we do all the things.
I think... Yeah, I thought that was going to be the same for me too. Why did they really push that? What was going on with dance in the early 2000s that everybody was like...
There were a lot, because even the Honey movies, did you watch those with Jessica Alba?
Yeah, when Jessica Alba was mixed in the first one.
Oh, yes.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
And then Cassie Ventura played Honey in the next one. Randomly, they recast it completely.
Miss that? Maybe
another
I missed
mixed
that one.
Race woman,
yeah,
of course. Got to keep your blackness in the movie. Weird. But they had so for You Got Served, I just have to note that the B2K world
Oh,
at the time
so yummy.
was
Yes.
all encompassing. All encompassing. Those were
Mhm.
like some of my first crushes. I
Oh,
remember that
100%.
era so deeply. And as time has moved forward, I look back on You Got Served and B2K and even early Janae Aiko, and I'm like, there is some nefarious shit. And like the nefariousness is coming from real life tellings of what was going on during that time. Are you aware of any of this from B2K?
No, what happened with B2K?
Oh, Christopher B. Stokes must be burned at a cross. Like he was absolutely predatory. I think also when you're thinking about You Got Served, I see it visibly, and I don't know if it's that they created it or they were just perpetuating something that's old, but the influx of the Blasian identity and like pushing the Blasian
Oh.
growl to the
Mhm.
top, that was such a thing. Like it was so MySpace. I remember everybody was suddenly Blasian. Do you remember this
Yes, I
era?
remember
Like,
that, but also at the time, I think people were saying like mulatto, and you know what I
all the
mean?
things.
Yeah, yeah. So that
Yeah,
was it was definitely
definitely.
giving 19 late 1900s, late
Yeah,
90s to
very
early
that.
2000s.
Like, damn, they're about to call somebody a quadroon. What's going on over here? But they so the movie comes out and they are on top of the world. Decades pass, come to find out that Christopher B. Stokes was possibly molesting the boys, making them be in precarious sexual situations.
Mhm.
Marcus Houston is currently married to a girl that I believe he met when she was 16 or 15, and he
Oh.
was not.
Mhm.
Like, it is a deep, deep well. And maybe that's something that we look into for another episode. But we have to just acknowledge that, acknowledge all the things that come with it. Let's go back to 2004. Let's go back to when it was safe. And we're just watching this movie, and these are just celebrities that we absolutely love, and we don't know what they may be going through. And they made an MTV dance film, and I really feel like it popped off in a way that created so many things. Like think about Stomp the Yard,
Mhm.
and I think about the Step Up series,
Yes.
things like that. Like I think You Got Served is seminal in this. Now, if I look back and find out that it was the last movie, we're cutting this whole section out.
I
But
know. It's just the one that came to
let
mind.
me
I think it's very all of them are really popular, but this is the one where I mean, you mentioned B2K, and as a young adolescent who really believed that she was going to marry Lil Fizz, I connected with that movie, and I still do. Like, it was so fun to listen back to the songs and the music of the time and the odd I guess I just forgot that Steve Harvey was in the movie with his
that was
chatter, chatter, chit,
random.
chit, you know?
He that was really random, and I'm like, where was he in 2004? The show had gone off air. Kings of Comedy
Mm,
was gone. I guess that he had to hobnob. That was really weird to see.
yeah.
Also, Lil Kim randomly coming in the fold,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it is a weird one. Now, I do have to admit, I'll share with the audience. No, I did not rewatch it for this telling. I watched the first 10 minutes. I said, I got it. Good, got it.
I watched the
So,
whole
Donna,
thing.
tell me about your experience. Do you mind giving a quick rundown for the people who may not have such a strong memory of it?
I mean,
What is it
it's like a
about?
cultural experience too, right? So you have these kids who are in high school and they're on this dance squad together. The two main characters do the dance squad, but they're also into illegal substances and distribution. We'll call it that
Mm,
on the
mm-hmm.
streets. And one of the main characters falls in love basically with the other main character's sister, and that's part of the beef. And you know, there's always going to be a love storyline, so that's part of the love storyline and the storyline of these kids who are growing up somewhat less fortunate and finding a way and expressing themselves in part through dance, which we know historically dancing is a form of expression, and it continues to this day. So you really have the historical expression of dance aspect, you have the romance aspect, and you also have the socioeconomic aspect as well when you have this high school, their dance team competing against this other school's dance. Or was it another? I can't remember if it was another school or just another group of kids, but they're predominantly white. Until one of the main characters, like their dance team, one of the team members just decides to kind of jump ship and then goes and dances with the white team. So there's a mix of things happening here, and culturally it is important because of the dance and because of the music.
Yeah. And it was a mega hit.
Mm-hmm.
This was very, very popular. It was made on a budget of $8 million. They made $48 million. Wow. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that was opening weekend, but like at the time and with what they had, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So of course it was crazy. And then also it hit the #1 spot in the box office during the Super Bowl weekend of 2004. So it was just kind of like, it was not necessarily counter programming, but it was part of an event weekend film release. And so I think that also really boosted it up, that people were excited to go see our boys.
Yeah.
And my last bit of trivia about the movie is, it was probably obvious to you, with the character who played Claire on My Wife and Kids.
Yep.
Shout out to actress who I'm not gonna look up the name.
I don't know her name. She replaced the original Claire and we talked about this too when we talked about TV stars or childhood actors, and this is a light-skinned Claire who replaced the dark-skinned Claire. Yes. And y'all knew who we're talking about when we are talking about My Wife and Kids. You should know by now. But if you don't know, look it up, because we don't remember her name. We apologize.
And we're not looking it up. But I did notice that her name in the movie was Aaliyah. And this was also a few years after Aaliyah had passed away. And apparently the role was written with her in mind. So I guess that they changed the character's name to pay homage to the actual artist. So I mean, it's sad that we lost Aaliyah. Glad that she wasn't a part of this movie for the sake of her legacy. Sure. I'm gonna be honest, but like,
wait, you know who also was in the movie?
Who?
Megan Good, before she went bleak.
Before she went Megan Bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. But she was that girl. Yeah. Like, these were all of these stars of the day. That was who we're looking at, minus say a Bow Wow, minus say a little Romeo or whatever, like kind of at the younger end. These were the teens. These were the sexy teens that sang and danced. Some of them were light skinned. Thank goodness for Christopher B. Stokes. He loves that. And these were our stars, and this was the movie. So I love that. Now I do have a question regarding how you were when you watched the movie and afterwards. Did this movie inspire you to take on any sort of dance or learn about certain dances or dance styles?
Not particularly, because that's just not my style. Like, I will say that there is someone that I've met, a woman out at a bar somewhere, and she invited me to this dance club that they do like every Wednesday. It's like a mom's night out kind of thing. I will be doing that next week. So when I post on my Instagram stories that I have partaken in this, just know it was not by the influence of watching You Got Served. It was because I have some amount of desire, generally speaking, to enhance my like freestyle, if you will. But usually my dancing involves the steps that I know I need to follow, and then some improv in between there. But I can get better with my improv. So there's not direct inspiration, but I will coincidentally be improving my throwback.
Right. And so next Wednesday, when you post your story and you're crumping in a group of 3 and 4, I'm going to say, no, that has nothing to do with You Got Served. Of course not. Now, I guess I had one more thing that I wanted to mention about the movie before I close my tab, but found out there was a fight with Wade's crew where after they've danced, there was a fight that happens, right? That was not in the script. It was literally just dancers starting to fight.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
I had no idea.
And they played it off. Columbus Short, who we do not need to shout out. That's another controversy for another day. But he is the one who helps Omarion up and get up out of the scene or whatever. But
Oh,
that was a real fight that broke out. So not only as you got served a cultural phenomenon and like a definite pinpoint into like who turned us into women, shout out to you, Christopher B. Stokes, but also it was a documentary.
that's so fascinating. I had no idea that that was
Yeah.
legitimate. It's so interesting
Yeah.
the pieces where they go off script basically that actually make it into films. Hmm.
Something tells me that not a lot of scripting was like the script wasn't the necessary thing for you
Yeah.
got served.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we were served. Donna found this wonderful old PBS. And actually, I say old, and I don't know when it came
It
out.
was the early
Um,
2000s also, so we're sending everybody back at least 20 years to to
seriously,
watch the sources of of this episode.
but it's this wonderful docu series, I guess, because it was done in 3 episodes about Black dance. It's called Free to Dance, premiered on PBS, and also you can see um, their full episodes on YouTube now. So that's how we were able to catch it.
Mhm.
And I'm so glad that you sent that, and so glad that we were able to watch a bit of it because I guess there's a world out here where my knowledge is just not it just hasn't been brought to me. It's like you have to go seek out information specifically about, well, look, this is what our podcast is about,
Yeah.
but you have to go seek out information about some really influential people in dance, in
Yeah.
art, in performing arts. And it's kind of upsetting that I didn't know about these people or some of these dances before watching this,
Mhm.
but I've learned a lot. I definitely could use another watch through, but thank you for bringing it to the forefront.
Yeah, for sure. I like that they touched on so many people that were instrumental in the dancing, and we're talking about like in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And they even brought them back to, I say current day, but it was current day of 20 years ago, where they're interviewing these dancers, and so you see them in their old age, and they're reminiscing, and they're talking about the impacts that like Catherine Dunn, for example, and her studies and her really innovation in the dance world and how she brought that to the States and to the main stage at a time for a Black woman and Black performers and Black dancers didn't have that opportunity to showcase their talents in the same way that we see with, white counterparts. But it was a really beautiful display of bringing the cultures of all the countries that she went to. She went to Haiti, she went to parts of Europe. She went to all these places and really brought back the some of the styles and was able to help tell their stories as well.
Yeah. I want to go back really quick to the very beginning of the documentary, and I'm definitely going to get into Catherine Dunham because she was super interesting.
Mhm.
But the first thing that really stood out in this documentary was that they named what they consider the first choreographed dance to be, and it was by enslaved Africans.
Mhm.
Now, it was called a ring shout. And Ring Shout just so happens to be the name of a book that apparently inspired a lot of what Sinners was about. So
Mhm.
there's
Mhm.
something in there, but also Ring Shout is literally connected to shouting in church. It's the praying, it's the stomping, it's the clapping, it's the unison of it
Yeah.
all. It was also called a Hallelujah March or Victory March.
Mhm.
So that was really interesting to hear. Also, not that surprising that that we
Invented
pulled
it.
something up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
duh. But that was really interesting to hear because I had never heard of that, and I guess I never really thought about shouting being something that would have stemmed from a choreographed dance. I guess I thought when people get slain in the spirit, if you will,
Mhm.
that is just a natural movement of excitement and not so much coming from a lineage of this is how you move when you're praying.
Yeah. mean, I think it makes sense to me. I hadn't heard of it either. What makes sense is that it's the expression piece, and we do that vocally, even with some of the hymns that were sung, right? And so it
Yeah,
makes sense that you sort of that deep belly outward expression and like bringing it forward and almost like a release. And so it makes sense for
yeah.
your body to move. And then your voice follows it. And whether it's a shout or like a beautiful, ha, that wasn't it. But you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's
Just
okay.
like
That could be
all of
that's
it.
beautiful.
Thank
With
you. Mhm.
and then you know what that is though, Donna. Like even you just hitting one note, that also is about the connectivity between us because the minute that somebody brings out one note, another person will bring out one that harmonizes with it, and then
Mm.
you have your choir, and then you have your
Yes.
songs, and then you have your whole conversation, and maybe just catharsis of like, damn, today was an extra hard day.
Mm.
We're together.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to remember. Like that part is powerful. And you're right, like that doesn't go away. Look at Omarion and company. But like
Mm.
it's beautiful to know where all this came from. And it something else that was interesting too was the amount of I want to say it was white people, but I'm not sure that it was all white people that were
Yeah.
being quoted talking about the movements of African folks, saying that it felt like a possession. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm. Yeah.
How they would say like there was a spirit in them and all those kind of things. And I like we've heard that. And I don't know how I feel about that, to
Hmm.
be honest, because on one hand, I'm like, oh, you're at the zoo, you're at the spiritual zoo
Yeah.
watching black people move, and it's like they're so weird or something. On the other hand, I'm like, we do have this artistic spirit
Hmm.
that is just natural, and we get to share that comfortably with each other. Think about how black people laugh. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's even there. It's that is musical. Even how I'm talking with my hands.
Yeah. To your point earlier about how you used to dance so much and then it seems like you were like the spectacle basically or being made to be a spectacle. I think that's what you are sort of channeling when you're saying, oh, well, they're calling us spirited, but is that just a way to say that we don't have class or decorum or, you know what I mean? Meanwhile, we
Yeah.
saw even in the documentaries, a lot of the white dances were just like boring. they were
Yeah.
they were super boring. There was no flavor to it. There was no emotion. There was no soul. And meanwhile,
Mm-mm.
Black people, we have a lot of soul, right? Like we have a lot of connection to our higher being or our highest being and exude that through our movement, through our sounds, through singing or our voices and just our swag. That is
Yeah.
that. So on the flip side, I get the concern of what do they mean when they say spirited, but on the real side, that's what it is. We're spirited, we're connected, the we are it. And by it, I mean we have it.
We made it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then it was
Like
co-opted to be things that we see, A lot of the times
right.
we see the call it cultural appropriation. I don't know if it's necessarily cultural appreciation, but a lot of the things that we put the flavor to get co-opted and taken and turned into something different. And to me, what I'm understanding from these dance documentaries is that it's similar, is that it's
Yeah.
also another avenue that has been appropriated in a sense.
Definitely. And made to be sterile, like
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah.
Uh, and then also so hard for people to get in front of an audience. That
Hmm.
crap is ridiculous. Like and obviously this isn't a new story. Like we've heard about all kinds of entertainers not being able to walk to the lobby of the hotel where they're performing, things like that, sleep in it. You know what I mean?
Right.
We've heard about all this stuff, but I guess again, because dance has never really been something that I've fully connected with. I hadn't thought about the history of Black performers in dance and like different studios and things like that. I'm trying to remember the lady's name. Um, Saint Denis, something Saint
Oh,
Denis, Ruth Saint Denis had like a dance troupe, and she was that girl. And they let one black lady in, Edna Guy, and then didn't give her all the opportunities that one could have probably given a star
yeah,
student,
yeah.
you know. But in episode 2, which is the one that I really was like, ooh, this is some good stuff. We learned about Katherine Dunham.
Mm-hmm.
Now, had you heard about Katherine Dunham before this documentary?
For some reason, her name sounds really familiar, felt familiar, seemed familiar at the time, but I'm not sure why.
So I had heard of Katherine Dunham, and I wasn't sure necessarily how I had heard of her, but as it turns out, she had a world famous 47-day fast in her home in East
Wow.
St. Louis, which
Oh,
for
yeah.
me is like, yeah, 20 minutes away or so, less
Yeah.
than that. So that's kind of cool. Um, I think maybe she's around in different museums or like theaters or something like that are named after her. And now I'm going to be able to recognize her name. But anyway, I want to get into who she was and what she did because I thought she was really, really interesting. Um, she obviously was a dancer, but when she was looking into school, she went to the University of Chicago and got a scholarship for anthropology.
Mm.
And what she did was went around, she went to the West Indies and she went to Europe, and she just studied how people moved
Mm-hmm.
and ended up choreographing based on her observations. And so one of the things that she had really picked up on in Haiti was the movements of the Vodun religion. The Vodun is kind of like voodoo,
Mm-hmm.
but it's mixed with Christianity. And so, in the way that Christians would have saints, they would also have, you know, deities, I guess you would say. And according to their Wikipedia, they were called Iwa. So they would have their Iwa and they'd pray to them different ways. And she really picked up on that and brought a lot of that dance style to the United States through tours. She also was on Broadway, which I thought was
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. She was involved in a lot of different stage plays that maybe people know, talking about things like Stormy Weather, maybe Mambo. That's a movie. Um, she's been around. She was pretty famous. But I just wanted to bring up that she was learning these dances and showing these dances, and one of those dances is available to see on video. It was filmed in 1943, so it's not the best video,
Yeah.
but it's called, and I'm gonna have to spell it because I know I'm gonna pronounce it wrong. L apostrophe AG apostrophe YA. La Agia?
Sure.
La Agia? I don't know. But I will send you the link. It is so cute. Cute is not the word for it, but it's cool to see an old performance from the 40s
Mm.
on stage, and you can tell that she is obviously trying to tell the most story that she possibly can in the time given on stage. And these were the things that we're teaching people about the diaspora as she toured the world with these dances. And so she really was someone who shared our culture and also learned a lot about our culture in order to teach it. And I think she took it super seriously, and we can thank her for learning about all kinds of things. So anyway, I'm going on and on.
I wonder if there's a connection between, and maybe this is why Catherine Dunham sounds familiar to me, is because we've talked about Billie Holiday and her song Strange Fruit. And with Strange Fruit, there was one of their performers in the docuseries that performed not to a song, but to the poem of Strange Fruit.
Yeah.
And
What
so,
was her?
I mean, them being in the performing arts world, I imagine that Billie Holiday and Catherine Dunham had some overlap in their time of being on stage and being marginalized women in these settings. So I wonder if that might be a connection, or maybe we've mentioned her before when talking about Billie Holiday. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I think all this is really interesting too when we talk about someone. We're like, I've heard that name, or
Yeah.
I've seen it, or whatever, and we don't know where where it's
Yeah, I'm like,
coming
why does
from.
it feel so familiar?
I don't know, and I wonder if it's still open today. Turns out that Catherine Dunham also opened up a performing arts training center in East St. Louis. So I'm gonna see if that is still open, and maybe I've driven past it. It's like, damn, this lady really was that girl,
Yeah.
and we don't really talk about her. The third episode of the series was more about Alvin Ailey. Now, he I know about. You've heard of Alvin Ailey Dance Company,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think that one is more in our world, but something that they brought up with the Alvin Ailey bit was finally talking about queer people
Mm.
within dance,
Hmm.
and the amount of troops or companies that were shrinking and shrinking and shrinking because of AIDS taking them out, including Alvin Ailey, who
Hmm.
passed away from complications brought by AIDS. So I thought that was interesting. I would love to hear or see an updated story from, whatever's been going on the last 20 years in dance. I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you. Um, but I know that there are people out there, like I'm thinking like Gregory Hines. You remember Gregory Hines tap dancing on Sesame Street?
Ooh, I don't recognize the name or I'm not recognizing.
You might recognize his face.
Maybe,
Um,
yeah.
I I also wonder about cultural things like Stomp. When Stomp came to Broadway, was that black? Was that not? It felt black.
Mm.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
Um, and I also obviously would like to learn about crumping.
Hmm.
Like that stuff got so big. I made a joke that when we are old and we are in our old folks' homes, when our children abandon us, they're gonna bring in performers to crump for us to remind us of our young years.
They're not
And
gonna
I'm
be
gonna be
doing
right there
modern
talking
dance
about
like they
some.
get now. It's gonna be grumpy. That's funny.
And of course, they'd also be twerking. So I have to say,
Hmm.
this whole episode was born of talking about twerking and wanting to talk about something a little lighter. And Donna, what is your history, if any, with twerking culture?
It's like all of my adolescence, like whatever house parties. It's full of black lights, basements, humidity
Ooh,
from the sweat of everyone, and Soldier Boy.
oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
giving early 2000s music. So, gosh, Nelly, Soldier Boy, Crime Mob,
Whew.
who else? Like I'm trying to like name them all, but just channel your early 2000s, and that's what, and in a basement, and it's very hot and sweaty, and that's what that was, and me doing what I could, and we'd practice before we went. My
Oh, how
friends,
did you practice? Did you have someone spotting you?
no, they like showed us what to do, and then we would try and do that. And
Okay.
to be honest, I don't think I was very good at it. And then, but the thing is that this wasn't just twerking. This was grinding twerking.
Yeah.
You know what I
That's what they
mean?
are.
I know. And
Yeah.
so like to even ugh, I'm like getting gross goosebumps thinking about it because I mean we were children. Like we
Yeah.
were like teens and preteens and stuff doing this at parties in
Yeah.
someone's house where their parents were gone or whatever for, the weekend or whatever. It's so interesting to like flashback with that right now. But I did, the best I could with what I got, so or what I had. Like,
I feel like there was an era back to the school dances of it all, where dancing seemed to become just back to front humping.
yeah.
Like I don't know if maybe that was a Catholic school thing where it was less sexual if the girl's breasts were facing away or something like that.
Oh. I
I don't
don't believe
know.
that's the case. Mm.
I know that because it wasn't less sexual. It was like literally just a row of people kind of moving in motion, which is why I stood out because I didn't dance like that.
Yeah.
I had no interest in dancing like that. I wanted to dance to the song. Um, did you have regional dances growing up
What do you mean?
that kind of
Oh, yeah. So I grew up in the Midwest, and there's music from like Chicago, which is heavy. We don't name his name anymore. Music,
mm,
and then
mhm,
right. So then in Cleveland, we had, I mean, somewhat similar music, but you weren't like two stepping or whatever. You weren't doing like
mhm.
the sort of somewhat line dance to the music as
Yeah,
they were in Chicago. So
yeah.
I can't say that we had a like a dance of our region, but I went to Chicago so much to see my cousins that I remember them specifically having like certain dances that they would do. What I do recall is like the chicken head and
Yes.
the heel toe, crip
Yes.
walking, stuff like that.
Yes.
But I think that was more universal. I don't believe that was centered to like Cleveland, Ohio or to Ohio.
I I am going to double check, but I think that the pancake dance started in St. Louis.
This
Let
one?
me double check. Yes.
Oh, okay. Graze over your dancing.
I think it was, at least that's what I've claimed. Um, it's telling me that pancakes originated in the Netherlands. So I'm not going to get to
Oh.
the answer today, but however, we had in St. Louis a lot of, it's kind of like a music city. Maybe it's a little bit of a dying music city, but dances and all that stuff felt like it was here. So we had pancake, we had
Mhm.
mono, we had, like you said, the chicken head, which was a little bit kind of like a variation of the banquet bounce. And then, of course, we have twerking.
Yeah.
And allegedly, twerking was really big come the 90s, and it started in the South in New Orleans, which I guess was kind of around your block party
Mhm.
era. Think Tootsie Rolls,
Yeah.
think Freak Nicks kind of
Mhm.
vibes. Like it was just like a dance that was working with the music.
Yeah.
A lot of people would say pee popping, if you will,
Mhm.
but it
Be
got
popping
it
on a
got
handstand.
period. But then another thing about that is that if you watch old like videos of dance, which sometimes you'll notice it, like Josephine Baker even
Mm.
kind of had a little pop pop, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just a part of your body that you move in a certain way, and there's
Yeah.
only so many ways you can move it.
Right.
And it's like not necessarily a sexual thing. Of course, that's not where I come in. So
Yeah.
early in my YouTube days, there was a little group called the Twerk Team. Were you familiar with the Twerk
No.
Team?
No.
Lucky you. I was so deeply interested into the Twerk Team. I used to love their videos whenever they pop up. And it was just like three girls. I think maybe it grew to four at some point. Maybe they were falling out and they recasted. But they would just turn around, start recording, and just twerk for the entirety of a song. And I
Wow.
loved it. And their leader, her name was Miss Twerk Sumn. And I was like, what happened with Miss Twerk Sumn? Like I haven't seen her. I watched the beginning of an interview and I could not get through it. Shout out to you, Miss Twerksome, aka Saturday with two Y's. That's her artist
Oh.
name. Apparently, she makes music. She's also a brand ambassador for what I don't know. She hasn't updated her Instagram since 2022,
Oh.
and the only thing that is apparently active is a Snapchat. So
Okay.
I'm an adult. I don't. Good
Don't
luck
do
with
Snapchat.
that.
No.
Shout out to that. But I was like, okay, so her origins aren't that interesting at all. She does claim that she was is Black and Native American, and that 23andMe is wrong because it didn't give her the results that she said that she was. So that's about when I cut off. I was like,
Okay.
that's enough.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, what is the history of this dance? One, I found out that when I was watching those videos, and I must have been 13 13, 14 or something like that. She was 15 years old.
Oh,
Again, I tell you, these three girls were famous. Miss Twerk Sumn was a 15-year-old who was famous for shaking ass
wow.
online. So much so that she didn't graduate because she got famous.
Oh, she didn't need it anymore.
I have so many mixed emotions about it.
Yeah.
I have to look into her eventually. I just don't have the brain space right now. But looking into what that motion is of shaking your butt up and down, it looks like maybe it goes to Brazil. Of course,
Oh,
African origins. We're talking diaspora
right, right,
always.
right.
But there was a certain type of dance
Mm.
called a batukwe, Batuque. Batukwe?
I feel like it's gonna be like Batuke or something.
Batuque. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
probably right. Batuk sounds
Batuke.
right.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Thinking
Either way.
Portuguese, they speak a little harshly. Batuke. I don't
Well, apparently it was a dance that people could do, both men and women, were able to dance up and down the street. It's kind of like, think of like a parade,
know. Hmm.
but it was just a style of dance that derived from moves from capoeira. You know
Yeah, yeah,
capoeira
yeah.
wrestling?
Yeah.
So it's just moves that are from that, but put to the music.
Mm.
That's the whole thing. Of course, these were also used for different like celebrations. These batuks. I really wish I could pronounce it. Sorry, everybody. But they were, like drumming ceremonies where they would celebrate whatever was going on, and it became illegal quickly. So I
Wow.
wonder why we have negative connotations around the ways that bodies move.
Yeah.
They were like, that's enough of you n words moving and
Hmm.
having a good time, put it away. Another note about the musical style, though, is that sometimes the drumming, and you can see some of this on YouTube, the drumming is all done on folded fabrics.
Mm.
So anybody could do it and everybody could have a drum. And that's
Yeah.
how it grew and it grew and it grew. And it became something that everybody could do. And it's joyous and maybe it's a little bit painful, but it's mostly spiritual.
Yeah.
So that was good to hear that, there's a lot of history tied to Miss Twerk Summ's comeuppance.
Yeah.
And of course, it was vilified by white people and made a problem. So the black body is policed in all ways, shapes, and forms.
Yeah. Well, to connect the documentary to the history of twerking and to even crumping, I don't remember the name. I think it was called, or how to pronounce the name. I believe it was pronounced aguye or something. There's a
Mm,
form of dance of enslaved Black people where they weren't allowed to fight each other. And so they
mm.
were basically dancing in a sense, but it also involved, like, it was basically a way to get around physically fighting, but like play it off as if they were dancing. And so that kind of morphed into its own dance style that I wonder if crumping is kind of part of that, because crumping is very much so like, those like
So aggressive.
fast, yeah, those kind of movements,
Yeah.
but you're not actually like hurting someone or impacting someone.
Yeah. I think that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Um, and I also want to know what the connection is between the crumping and the clown thing. You remember the crump clowns? They had
No.
like clown face paint on. Okay, it was something. There is a documentary out there called Ghost Ride the Whip, which I highly
Oh, Ghost
recommend
Ride
if
the Whip. Oh, that's a
yeah.
what's that song? Anyway, there it's not
I don't
called
know
Ghost Ride
who.
the Whip, but it's in a song.
Well, there is a documentary all about it, and it's about the culture of ghost riding, which is just walking next to your car as you let it. I think you
Oh,
set it on neutral, and you walk by and you do all these different dances. Um, and yeah, anyway, it's all that kind of music, that California music. Think like E40. Tell me
yes.
when to go. Tell me when to go. And
Yeah.
it's like that. Boom, boom,
Oh,
boom, boom.
yeah.
That, I mean, again, we're at
Is that
parades
not in
again.
there?
It's basically a
Is
parade.
Ghost Ride the Whip in that song?
Is it a lyric from that song? Maybe.
I
But
wonder.
but the term ghostwriting is from the actual act of walking by your car while it's slowed down and doing your and showing your stuff off and being a part of. It's like a Bay Area thing.
Gotcha.
It looks like the song is called "Ghost Ride It" by Mr. Fab. Haven't
Oh,
really heard
okay.
about him in a while,
No, I
but
mean, he had his heyday, maybe like a B2K.
maybe in that era.
Yes.
Uh, but yeah, I wonder. I now that we've started making this connection, I'm sure we could definitely get into. There's so many different side journeys that one could go on, but I wonder how much of I wonder how much of these early dances we're just straight up repeating and don't know.
Yeah. It's very likely, especially because
Yeah,
we're talking about dances that were documented and not necessarily dances that have ever existed.
true.
So,
That's dark.
yeah.
That's really kind of crazy to think about the amount of people, dances, songs that have already existed and doesn't look right in the history book.
Mm.
So, you know. While I'm looking at it, and I'm not going to get into the details of this, but the crumping culture came during the early 2000s, and allegedly the people who originated crumping saw dance as a means for them to escape gang life. So it is
Oh.
community based. The house down boots, yes God, Miss Honey. Also, clowning is
Mm.
another form of crumping, which is literally listed as a less aggressive predecessor to crumping. So
Oh.
somewhere it came from clowning and it went into crumping.
Yeah.
Do you remember the faces that people used to make, like
Mhm.
the stank
Oh, yeah.
faces? That was
Yeah.
such a thing.
Yeah.
Like Sierra, when Sierra came
Yeah.
out, it was unheard of that a pretty girl would make
The
such a
way I
face,
ran.
you know? But like that's how you're supposed to dance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh,
I feel like now I could really go on a tangent, so I need to physically zip my lips. Just wanted to pass on some of this wonderful dance content. Stop talking about environmental racism for a month.
I love it.
um,
And another
yeah,
month, because next month we have a special guest that'll be coming onto the podcast, shedding some light on a topic that we've honestly never talked about. Well, we maybe have touched on it occasionally, but not in depth to where when we get into it, you'll be like, oh, yeah, they've talked about it before. This is really a whole new topic that I can't
yeah,
wait to share with everyone. And shoot, I'm excited about even this episode. Like, this was so much fun. And
right.
I like it when we do the fun things and get to share that with everyone and give them some resources that they can take back and like get their crump on as they're watching You Got Served. Or maybe they'll be
Right.
like, actually, I want to watch Magic Mike just to see what
Well,
Channing Tatum's doing
uh,
from You Got Served to his next debut. So,
I mean, I think if you want to watch a really good crumping movie, maybe it's watching Solange Knowles star in the 2006 American teen comedy Bring It On All or Nothing.
yes,
Then we can,
yes.
we can come to a nice point of watching a great piece of media, another documentary, and then
Mhm.
also bringing it to cultural relevancy as we talk about crumping.
Yeah.
I think that's all I've got. Now I just want to dance. I want to probably revisit this topic in the future because
Absolutely.
again, there's a lot. Like we're talking about art that Black people started. It went everywhere. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Yeah.
it went all kinds of places. So I feel like we could probably do 12 episodes just about different dance styles because it'll be that deep. But
100%.
as an overview, here we are. Can I get your review of of You Got Served out of five
Acting
stars?
is like a 2.5, maybe.
Okay, I think
Music,
that's appropriate.
music is definitely like a 4.5 out of 5 stars.
I feel you on that.
And plotline, I would say that's
What?
like a 4. I mean, like the story of it all, like I think it's very relatable and very real for some people. And basically, whether it could be sports, it could be chess, it could be crumping or dancing or whatever. Like, it's really about that community building and that being a way of like getting people out of hardship in a sense. So I thought it was good. So, you know, it doesn't stand the test of time besides the music and the plot line.
At all.
So,
but I do think it's important watching just how people say, you know, like Friday. I think like this goes in the category with the drum lines.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like you want to understand why millennials are this way.
Yes.
There's text available for you.
So what is that? Like a solid, so you got 4.5, and then 2.5. So that's 9, 11.5 divided by 3. Not quite a 4-star rating.
I think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
I think that's appropriate. It wasn't the worst movie. Yeah. It just got on my nerves in this 2025 brain.
Yeah.
But I was there.
Yeah.
I was there. So.
Well, thank you, friend.
Well, thank you, friend. Tell us what your favorite dance movie is, and maybe we'll watch them.
Yeah, that would be fun. A movie and review.
Yeah.
If this episode made you laugh, think, or say, I know that's right.
Or girl.
Same.
Or damn.
Facts.
Or true.
Or vigorously nod, drop us a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It seriously helps us out.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks so much for listening.